Hey, what's up, boys and girls? I got a couple of things to talk about today. I know it's only Wednesday, but I'm home alone right now and waiting on the wife to get home. And I just saw something that kind of made me want to let you guys in on it, and see if you're amused or not. I really wasn't, but I've seen a couple things this week that may be worth mentioning. Maybe not. I'm not going to really get into politics much because I got a video taken down last week because I had the audacity to tell the truth about something that happened a couple of years ago. Some shit got messed around anyway. I got in trouble for that, and they took my video down. So I'm not going to talk about that. So me and my brother-in-law Kyle, we go out and we go to dinner, and I have I started drinking again. My mom was like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Yeah, I drink one beer a week." She's like, "Oh, okay. Well, I think she can live with that." But compared to the old days, one beer a week, that's pretty good for me. So anyway, we go out to eat. We either go have burgers at one place or we go to Manuel's and have Mexican food at the other place. Every other week. So anyway, we went down to Manuel's and I met him down there for dinner. And I went into the bar area. They got all the booths in there and everything. And I sat in the corner booth. And I saw a couple of kids over there, which normally I try to avoid any kids that look like they're going to be rowdy because I just want to have a nice peaceful meal or whatever. But I thought, well, they're probably about done anyway. So I went and sat down at the corner booth. And so anyway, when I was walking by, I noticed that one of the boys were probably, I'd say 4 and 6 maybe. And then there was a girl there that was maybe 7. They were all like, they pumped them out in a row. And the 6-year-old had a pacifier in his mouth walking around. I'm like, Jesus Christ, seriously? Whatever. They're not my crib midgets. They don't belong to me. They're not my business. But anyway, they kind of made it my business because they screamed and squalled and laughed and screamed and raised hell the entire time that we were trying to eat. And there was a couple times I couldn't help but like Jesus Christ, like out loud, just to try to maybe get the parents. They didn't give a shit. They weren't even paying any attention to these little shitheads going on around them. So that was a little aggravating. And anyway, then when they got up to go leave, like I said, I don't really judge because I'm not as skinny as I used to be, but she probably made 3 of me. And this dude looked like he was just waiting to die, and rightfully so. But so anyway, they all went walking by, and I was like, Jesus, dude, like, you know, go with God, my friend. So anyway, when me and Kyle got done, I got up to walk away, and I look over, and the busboy has got the dustpan. He's literally using it as a shovel to clean up the shit under this table. I mean, there was food and stuff spilled and crap all over the table. I mean, there was just shit everywhere around that table, like a tornado went off through there. And I thought, you know what? And these bastards probably tipped $1 if they tipped at all. I mean, just what assholes. Moral of this story is if your crib midgets can't behave themselves out in public, then keep the little shits at home and feed them some mac and cheese and call it a day. You can clean up their mess instead of some other poor bastard that probably makes minimum wage and he's got to clean up all that crap because you can't control your kids. I mean, my grandkids, I mean, especially, Abby has been a perfect angel in restaurants since she was when we carried her in a little car seat carrier thing. And the boys have always been really well behaved. I mean, their mom would never put up with that shit. She'd whip somebody's ass, as what grandpa would too. And they know that if you're going to go to a restaurant with grandpa, you're going to behave and you're going to use your table manners because if you don't, you're going to sit in the truck and wait for the rest of us to eat, and that's that. So I couldn't be more proud of them. They do good compared to a lot of what I see. And the rest of the kids in the restaurant, they were all doing well, but these guys were out of control. So enough about that. The other thing I saw that now this kind of amused me the other day. There's this big fat kid. He's probably about 30, and he stands on the corner down here, a couple blocks from our house. And he's always standing down there with his sign that I'm hungry and I need to have a look at him. Like, yeah, you look hungry to me, dude. Right. So I went to the grocery store the other night and I'm coming home and I'm sitting there at that light and I look over. Well, him and a couple of his upstanding friends are over there and they're laying down by this power box thing between that and the bush and they're smoking crack right out the broad daylight, right there next to the street. Cops could drive by or whatever. I'm sure they did. They had the tin foil and the straw and they were smoking away, over there. I'm like, geez, you can't even hide it. I mean, but I guess it don't matter. I mean, you can go to San Francisco and shoot up heroin and just walk out and take a shit right in the sidewalk and nobody cares. It's fine. I mean, society has just swirled right down the bowl. So, yeah, I'm just kind of amazed at some of the things I see that seem to be okay anymore. And me and a friend of mine were talking today at work, and he's kind of an interesting character, but he won't even take an aspirin. This guy. And he's been crying about his knee hurting for 2 weeks, but he won't take an aspirin or anything. And I'm like, well, I mean, that's kind of on you, dude. The inflammation and all that. I mean, drugs are good, legal ones or whatever. And he was complaining that ever since they had the recreational marijuana get legal, and there's grow facilities. Now, there's one not that far from our shop because I can smell it once in a while. And he said, well, ever since they did that, his allergies have been kicking up because he never had allergies before they started doing, that pollen from that weed that makes him sneeze and fires up his allergies and all that. And I told him today, I said, well, maybe you should start smoking it and build up your tolerance a little bit. And he didn't think that was as funny as I did. I was pretty goddamn amused. I thought it was pretty funny. But so we were talking about that. And then I told him, I said, well, the only thing that bothers me is if I'm sitting in my truck or I'm driving in traffic or whatever, and somebody's smoking, they blow a big cloud out their window, and then my air conditioner sucks it up, pulls it into my cab, and I can smell it. So I'm always thinking, well, it'll be just my luck. In 2 minutes, I'll get pulled over by a motorcycle cop or something. He'll walk up to the window and smell weed, and then I'll have to answer a bunch of questions. It'll be a bunch of bullshit. And so he goes, well, just, if you don't break the law, you don't have to worry about getting pulled over. And I said, well, let me stop you right there, pal. I'm just going to tell you right now, I've been known to speed a little bit in my day. I kind of like to go fast, so I hit the speed limit twice every time I take out, once on the way up, once on the way down, but I rarely ever drive the speed limit. So that might be an issue. I don't know, but, it's pretty lax nowadays anyway. But so anyway, I've decided that in light of current events and some of the shit going on, I'm probably just not going to talk about politics that much anymore. It really doesn't matter because every and like I said, I got in trouble for this the other day, so I'm not going to go into it too deep detail. But every couple of years we do our thing, and and it just we had some stuff go on here in Arizona that just kind of led me to believe that why waste your time, and I know that's a bad attitude as an American, but it just doesn't seem to make any difference anymore because they're going to do what they want to do. So I'm just not going to get too concerned about it. Now, what I have been amused by this week, Twitter. I started tweeting a couple of weeks ago. That's been kind of fun getting on Twitter. So I've been watching the liberal heads explode over, oh my God, free speech. We can't have that. We've got to have censorship. You got to shut the conservatives down. They're spreading false information. Yeah. Every time you tell the truth, somebody gets pissed off and you get canceled. So I tend to follow people, like on TikTok, I follow people that have multiple accounts because they keep getting canceled for spreading false information. Well, you know what that means. They're telling the truth. So I like to listen to those people, and then I cross-reference it with other stuff and somehow kind of figure out what may or may not be the truth, So that's kind of how I roll with that. But the funny thing this week has been watching liberals try to decide which side of this China thing they come down on. That's been kind of funny, because they they're all about the the protesters. Oh, raw the protesters, freedom, get your freedom, go out and protest and all that. Oh shit, but the government's locking people down for COVID, and we're all for that too. We want everybody to get locked in their apartments so they can burn to death. And yes, that happened in China not too long ago. But lock everybody up and make sure they don't have a job or any food or their business goes under. Well, we don't care as long as we don't get the flu. God forbid we get the flu, So I'll probably get in trouble for saying that too. But bullshit, it's the fucking flu. We all know it. So, us conspiracy theorists are up about 17-0 over the last couple of years. So, anyway, there's that. That's kind of funny. And then I got in some shit with a friend of mine. He's kind of a liberal. And I got in some shit with him the other day because I mentioned that Alyssa Milano turned in her Tesla and she got her a Volkswagen EV. And I'm like, like, hey, you ignorant twat. You might want to go do a little research on, because I'm a fascist, obviously, But she might want to do a little research on who started the Volkswagen company and all that back in the 30s. She might want to do a little research on that. And I'm not saying Volkswagen's a bad company. I'm not. I mean, everybody's got to start somewhere. And if their start was kind of, a little nefarious, that's not really the current company's fault. I'm not saying that. But still, it's just kind of funny, that she slings words like fascist around and then she goes and then does that. And my grandpa had a bug. He loved it. We went fishing in it when I was a little kid and all that. So, I'm not fronting on Volkswagen at all, but I just think it's kind of funny that she was talking that shit the other day. And then Trudeau. I mean, I'm going to go into politics just a little bit. Not our politicians, but Canada boy up there, the dictator-in-chief up there, Trudeau. He was saying the other day, oh, he's all behind the Chinese people and their fight for freedom and all that shit. And I'm like, well, you weren't behind your own people in their fight for freedom, and they had that trucking strike and all that. Well, you shut that shit down immediately. You locked people in their homes. You took away the rest of their goddamn guns. Not that it was hard enough to own one there as it was, and now you can't own one at all, pretty much. So all of these things are the reason why I personally will never, ever comply with that bullshit. The Second Amendment was written for a reason. It's the second thing we said. Our founders First Amendment, free speech, which that's fucking gone already. Ask anybody. Ask me, I'll tell you. How many times have I been kicked off of Facebook? Yeah, I've been in Facebook jail. I should have stripes, you know. But yeah, free speech, that's gone. And then, Joey, he's all after the, we got to stop the, guns. And oh my God, the guns, 45,000 children, 45,000 children are missing that they don't know where they went. They come across the border, and then the government pays to have them shipped all over the country to their sponsors that may or may not be related to them. 45,000 of them, they don't know where they are. I kind of have an idea where they might be, and it makes me really sad. I mean, a Russian soldier in Ukraine the other day, they came upon a place where they were actually chopping up people to make, parts, and wow, So, yeah, I'm kind of having a big moral dilemma with that whole deal going on over there. And so, I don't want to go into that too deeply. I like to try to find things to amuse my friends and all that. And the reason I quit doing videos to begin with, because it was getting harder and harder to find anything to be amused about. So, I'm going to continue the struggle and try to find things to be amused about, and just, politics can, yeah, fuck, what's the point. So, anyway, you guys enjoy the rest of your week. Have a good weekend, and I'll talk to you later. I'm out.